Good afternoon. My name is Daryl Dennis, and I would like to thank you for taking the time to view the reason why I believe that I'm qualified for the position and also to learn more about me and my background. I think the primary reason that I believe I'm qualified is I was an officer in the United States Army, and my first duty assignment was in the Republic of Panama. I was given the additional duty, along with two other lieutenants, to tutor and teach English as a second language to soldiers who were primarily from Puerto Rico and the Republic of Panama. I will admit that we had a prepared curriculum that we were teaching the soldiers so that they could be functioning elements in their respective units. It was a rewarding experience for me because not only was I able to improve the English language speaking abilities of those soldiers, they taught me Spanish, and um, my fluency in Spanish really began with that additional duty. So I have taught individuals who are not primary English speakers. The second thing that I would like to point out is my background began with my U.S. Army career. I'm a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point, and I graduated and began my career as a second lieutenant, and I retired as a lieutenant colonel. I also received my master's in business administration from Marymount University in Arlington, Virginia, and I took a 3-month continuing education course at Northwestern University where I studied options and futures theory. My career, as I've already said, began with the U.S. Army, where I received the parachutist badge and the coveted Ranger tab. I was a U.S. Army Ranger and served in the 1st Ranger Battalion at Fort Stewart, Georgia. After leaving the Army, I began a career in finance. I first worked at Geico Corporation as a credit analyst. Then I moved to First American Bank in Washington, D.C., where I was a fixed income portfolio manager. My next move after that was with an investment boutique, Wedgwood Capital Management, where I served as a principal and chief investment officer. And then I moved to SEI Corporation, where I was a director of portfolio strategy. And I am currently with Black Knight Advisors. The reason why I'm applying for this position is because I was involved in an accident in the spring of this year, and that accident caused me to be less than fully ambulatory. I spent 4 months learning how to walk again, and my improvement has exceeded the expectations of the doctors who are taking care of me. I still have a long way to go, and so work at home is my only option at this particular time because, again, I'm less than fully ambulatory. Uh, in addition to my professional background, I have served as an adjunct professor at the University of District of Columbia in Washington, D.C., and Park College. So I do have experience as a adjunct professor. I also have experience as a teacher of English as a second language, and I think that I have the skill set that you're looking for. One of the questions you asked me was what was one of my favorite courses in either graduate or undergraduate studies. And my favorite course occurred while I was at West Point, and it was the history of military art. And it was learning about the great generals and the great battles and wars that were fought from the beginning of time. And I really became fascinated with it. And I always am a purchaser or buyer of military history and military strategy books. I think the two biggest challenges that I had when I moved from the U.S. Army to the private sector was just a big difference in attitude. And that was one of my greatest challenges because spending 8 years in the Army prior to moving into the private sector is quite a culture shock. I was used to more structure, and I was used to people being on time and being responsible and taking ownership of the things that they were required to do. When I reached the private sector, that was not the mentality that I encountered. And so I had to make a significant adjustment in order to get along with and also participate with my fellow associates. Another challenge that I faced was not receiving credit for something that I felt I should have been credited with. And my takeaway from that was eventually, if you work hard and you are a team player, individuals within your organization will recognize your true worth and your ability to make a change. Whatever I do in life, I try to make the situation that I'm involved in better. Um, Lastly, I would like to say that I would really appreciate the opportunity to work as one of your remote raters, and I'm very confident that I can perform the functions to a level that exceed expectations, and I look forward to hearing from you in the very near future. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you for your time.